Welcome back, folks. This is part 3 of Product Sense, where I do a complete mock interview and explain my thinking on the way with open notes so that you can maximize your learnings. If you haven't seen part 1 and part 2, go back and check it out. They are linked in the description below. In this final section, we will cover the solutions and wrap up with our final recommendation. Let's do it. So I think there's like some alternatives that's like Travel Buddy or something like that, but I don't really think they work. So I'm trying to think right now of a method to revitalize this experience. Maybe it could be something like this: speed dating Travel Buddy. So basically what I mean by speed dating Travel Buddy is maybe there could be an experience where within the Blue app or within Instagram, without making the app too noisy, you add this detail saying, next week I'm going to Italy for a week and I want to find a cool travel buddy. And rather than having this traditional method of here's like a marketplace and here's a bunch of profiles and now you make an awkward, hello, my name is this, I'm going here. I think the amount of friction for this generation is really, really high. So I'm trying to revitalize that experience to say, what if we could come up with something like this? You add in your information. Meta knows your interest profile. So in my case, it knows that I love tennis, I love cricket, I love pretty much every sport. And let's say that it knows my dates for going to Italy. Maybe in the San Francisco Bay Area, there's someone else who's also going to Italy and also likes the same stuff as me. So what it could do is create this time window where there's like a speed dating or like a quick video call that happens, where we quickly talk to each other for 5-10 minutes. We feel each other's vibe. If we like the vibe, then we add each other as friends and we continue talking, and then we are happy to figure out, how much we want to interact together. So this could use something like FB Dating's code plus Facebook Live's code plus recommendation systems code, which is phenomenal at Facebook, to create a quick, engaging way to find a travel buddy. I do think it is differentiated enough from current options. I don't think traditional marketplace like stuff like here's a link to someone. I don't even know if that exists. Maybe it does with Travel Buddy or something, but I don't think it works. I think that Facebook groups are lower in engagement these days. I think there's a lot of friction in searching through everybody and seeing, you don't know whether they're going to have similar interests, whether you'll get along or not. And I think all of this can just be boiled down into like 5-10 minutes, like you could have a quick conversation and then decide what to do. So I think that's pretty interesting. Oh, okay. So we have a bunch of other things here that I'm looking at. Like, what else could we do? Okay. Socialize the airport lounge experience. Instead of it being boring, create huddle groups based on interest. So what I mean by this one is like whenever you go to like an airport lounge or something like a Priority Pass lounge or Chase Sapphire lounge, what if that entire experience, which is so boring and everybody's kind of doing their own thing, everybody's eating dry salad and doom scrolling on their phone, what if we could make this a real party-like experience? Like what if that entire Chase Sapphire lounge or Centurion lounge became like a social party and had a bunch of hangout groups happening? Like if you're interested in tennis, then go talk about tennis. If you're interested in crafts and books, then you talk about all of that. I think it could be pretty interesting because travel is like a microcosm of a lot of people interacting with each other. And today, most people's social graphs are fairly set, right? Unless you're new to Facebook or Instagram, which some generation is. But I think in our cases, or anybody's, for most of the Facebook user base, I don't want to derive this from personal experience, but for most of the user base of Facebook, everybody's social graph is like fairly set. You get the occasional ads and stuff unless there's a specific event that you're going to and you meet a lot of people. So I think the travel experience could be something that helps people grow their social graph as well, which is genuinely building community. And I think if people are spending time at the airport lounge in a more meaningful way, I think that's pretty cool. It solves the problem of loneliness. It solves the problem of building community. And I think that would be pretty cool. Okay, one more idea would be the unplanned travel guide and friend. What I mean by this is, like, let's say you are waiting at the airport gate for like 2 hours. It's a place where people are bored. Again, people are just doom scrolling. They're not really doing a whole lot. There's not a whole lot to do. Let's say you're on a flight from San Francisco to Amsterdam, right? I'm pretty sure that on that flight, there would be people who are from San Francisco and going to Amsterdam to go to Amsterdam. There could be people who are going to Amsterdam as transit and then they're gonna fly off somewhere else. But there could also be people who live in Amsterdam and are now returning back from San Francisco. What if we could convert that 2-hour boring waiting time into something social? Like, instead of just relying on things like YouTube and Instagram and TripAdvisor, what if you met someone over there at the gate who is super knowledgeable about Amsterdam and they can tell you, you know, here's the hole in the wall that nobody talks about. Like, you could go there and we could go meet for a coffee or something like that. I think that could be pretty interesting. So get to know someone new, get travel recos, spend time together, maybe make a connection. I'm going to quickly prioritize amongst these. So I'm going to say effectiveness of solution, potentially like alignment with Meta's mission, and cost of building the solution. So when I'm talking about effectiveness of the solution, I am keeping in mind what already exists, what alternatives are currently available, and if this really is a good problem to solve. So I think that for solo travelers, right, I think this is really cool. I think this could be really good. My issue with this is that in 2025, people just may not want so much direct face-to-face connection, which is both a good thing and a bad thing, that maybe this is something that helps us reverse it. But I think the propensity for adoption for a product like this might be a little bit lower. At least I am a little bit less certain. So I might say maybe I don't go with that. And then the socialize the airport lounge experience. Socializing the airport lounge experience. I think it could be interesting. My only worry is that we're building this for like the solo travel explorer. And I don't know how many of those would be in these airport lounges, what the overall adoption rate of something like a Priority Pass or Amex Centurion would be, because that is something that's usually catering to people with a high willingness to pay. And it is possible that the solo soul-searching explorers are not traditionally ones with a very, very high willingness to pay. So I think the potential adoption of this might be lower. Which is why I'm questioning this solution. So I think that this one is probably the one that I would go to. That I would end up building something like a very fast speed dating. You add where you want to go, and we will genuinely get the work done, where it's not going to be like a treasure hunt to find a person that you can hang out with during your travel, but it is something that's going to actually be effective. And in 30 minutes, you're going to meet, 10 people or 5 people, whatever. We can experiment all of that and actually get you connected to someone. Because I think that all of these solutions exist in theory, but I don't really know anybody who actually uses one and says, wow, this is a great solution. So I think this is something that could be really interesting. It's a fairly reasonable solution that I think we've come up with. And I think what I really like about this solution is that this indeed is something that uniquely Meta can do. Right? It is not something that Google could do. It's not something that Amazon could do. I think this could be something unique that Meta does. I think we've kind of evaluated our solutions. I think the main trade-off would just be like privacy. If I'm connecting with someone and I know they have similar interests, let's just make sure that it's done in the right way, that we're not sharing anybody's personal data. I think all communications can happen through Messenger, so no phone numbers are shared unless the party chooses to exchange that. So I would say that my overall recommendation for this prompt is, let's build a speed dating travel buddy like thing where people like we could reuse Facebook Dating's code to match people. We could reuse Facebook Live's code or Facebook like create a story or reel kind of code to get a video call done, or the video call code as well, and then recommendation systems to match people really well. That will help us solve the problem of solo traveling can get lonely at times, or the soul searching explorer, which overall will help us build a product around travel for Meta and meet Meta's mission of helping people build the future of human connectivity and the technology that powers it. So that is my example of how I would do a product sense question. Let me quickly do a self-critique. Where could I have done better? Let's see. I think that a couple of the, so I think a pain point could have been more specific to solo folks, solo travelers. Something to think about there. One for sure, write less. I have a problem. Yeah, I think otherwise fairly reasonable. I really think that we did a good job at the beginning to make sure that we're really talking about what travel really means and not jump to any conclusions. And maybe one day, you guys let me know in the comments below if you would like me to take this prompt in a completely different direction. I think almost everyone goes the vacations route, and there's good reason to. But what if we went into one of these routes or the VR route? Although I think this is more of a use case. This is not a decision we want to make right now, but we didn't make that decision. So if you guys are interested in me taking this in a different direction, let me know. So that was my product sense question with open notes while doing an interview myself and walking you through it. You'll see that the final solution I ended up picking is something that you may or may not agree with. It may not be the best solution, and I kept it in the gray area partly on purpose. The point is, it does not really matter much what solution I picked. What matters most is how I arrived at it. If you think about the psychology of the person who's checking your work, your interviewer, they've probably made your hire or no hire decision long before you prioritize which solution you're going with. Could you mess it up with a really bad prioritization over there? Theoretically, yes, but realistically, the chances of you going from a yes to a no at that stage are pretty low. Your chances of going from a no to a yes at that stage are zero. That means if you've already messed up before, it doesn't matter how good your answers are at this point, how amazing of solutions you come up with, but if certain signals have been missed at the beginning, it really won't matter. My last note, again, that I mentioned in the beginning of part 1, for those of you who try to copy the structure, it's okay for you to do so if you feel like it helps you, but please do remember that the structure, while it can give you the breadth of the problem, it really won't give you the depth. The depth comes from a few things. First, years of experience. This is the slowest form of depth development. Second is practice. This is the next best form of developing depth. Finally, and most importantly, there are some intricate details that you cannot see in what I did and how I did. I teach that separately to build that skill. If you're interested, click on the link below. I'm creating something new for you. This is going to be one of the most efficient, fastest paths to that skill where you can accelerate your product career in a cost-effective way. I hope these videos help you. If they do, please consider subscribing. And also, as an FYI, I have a product sense framework video in the works right now that is going to come out in a couple of weeks, depending on when you're watching this, that I believe is the most comprehensive product sense approach that can really help take your product sense answers to the next level. So definitely come back and make sure you don't miss out on that when it gets published.